Hello and welcome to our another episode of Engineering Insights podcast. Every engineer wants to become more productive. But the interesting part is if you ask 10 engineers, you will get 10 replies on what productivity actually is. I mean, is it writing more code or, shipping more features, or is it something much more deep altogether, right? So that is what we will be exactly exploring in this episode. Joining us today, we have Archa Agarwal. She is a technical team lead at QuestionPro. She has been here with us from, I guess, the past 7, 8 years now. And Archa exactly works on customer facing products. Her role involves, you know, uh, a lot of user experience, productivity, business impact, and it also involves a lot of mentoring developers, helping them out and deciding which features to exactly ship and which can take a hold for now, right? So this is what we will be exploring in this segment or in this episode today of Engineering Insights. Welcome to the podcast, Archa.
Thank you, Nisha.
Okay, so since the entire theme of today's episode is productivity and how high performing engineers actually work, right? So I want to understand how has the definition of productivity changed for you since you have especially moved into a much more senior role or much more of a leadership role.
Yeah, Nisha, thank you for having me here. As you say that definition of productivity has changed throughout
Mm-hmm.
the year. So I won't say it has changed much,
Mm-hmm.
but the way of thinking and developing has definitely changed,
Mm-hmm.
because in the junior years you have less experience. You don't know the exact system,
Right.
and you are like little naive in
Mm-hmm.
that space right now. So but as you grow, and especially in QuestionPro, like I have grown for like 8 years now,
Mm-hmm.
and in this I think continuously learning is the
Mm-hmm.
biggest motivation you get, and continuous challenging work you get is the
Mm-hmm.
biggest motivation you have. And also it depends upon the freedom to choose the things which you are doing.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So from starting we were given that option to explore this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We were not just said to do something. We were
Mm-hmm.
given the task and we were asked to explore everything,
Mm-hmm.
design the system, implement the things whichever way we want,
Right.
and build a good system out of
Mm-hmm.
it.
Right.
So that's how I think the freedom and the like continuous learning helps a lot in
Mm-hmm.
increasing the productivity. And there are like in the certain scenario right now, there are lots and lots of tools available.
Right.
You can utilize them, you can like plan your day, and
Mm-hmm.
that's how you can like increase the productivity.
Right. So, every engineer wants to move faster and work faster. Let's say get the tasks done faster, but working at speed, I'm sure always comes at a cost, right? So how do you feel like an engineer should pace out their work?
Okay, so I believe this is the misconception we have in the industry, that
Mm-hmm.
normally like quality and speed cannot go hand in hand, but that's not actually true. What I believe is it depends upon the risk or the capability of risk you can take for
Mm-hmm.
the task. So suppose I'm working on a smaller task like designing a dashboard or
Mm-hmm.
doing some UX changes, so that does not have a quality, like
Mm-hmm.
that does like it needs quality, but
Mm-hmm.
not at that level. A
Right.
speed can be prioritized over quality at that
Mm-hmm.
point of time. So considering that, you
Mm-hmm.
can like prioritize speed, and like you can work faster at that pace.
Right.
But if there are complex tasks like authorization, security purpose, and
Mm-hmm.
all the things which require major upgradations or
Right.
everything, that needs a quality.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to have a balance in both, and it depends upon the task or the challenges you are facing.
Great. So, have you ever, stopped a release or, paused a release because you were feeling just not right? Something was not feeling right, and you did have a deadline, but rather than meeting the deadline, you sort of decided to not release that feature because there was still something that had to be done in that feature?
If that happens like couple of times where you are like in two minds where to whether to release it or
Mm-hmm.
like not release it, but actually that depends upon the impact.
Mm-hmm.
If the task is very impacting and it is going to create a lot of problem for the customers, then obviously we have to stop the release, we cannot let it go.
Mm-hmm.
But if it is like normal thing which can go and it does not have major impact, and maybe we can release it in beta feature.
Mm-hmm.
So basically it will be available for certain customers and not
Mm-hmm.
for the entire set of clients.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, it's you can release the task. But yeah, that's a dilemma that everyone faces while working in the leadership role.
So how do you decide?
So like as I said previously, the impact. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, consider if you are having a major release. So in
Mm-hmm.
customer experience, we have a release which impacts the deploy section.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, the survey invites are impacted in that case. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a major part where
Mm-hmm.
which cannot be released at the like with the bugs and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, nothing should be released in the bug. So
Right.
that can be either released in beta feature, like you can have a customer on board, two, three
Mm-hmm.
customers on board, and give them and have their feedbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Then if it's perfect, then you can release it for all.
Mm-hmm.
But if there are like things which are very like only the dashboard or analytics side of a part, like
Mm-hmm.
adding a certain things, giving a
Mm-hmm.
certain filters, then at that case it's good to go, like we can release that feature.
Okay. Engineers lose a lot of their time throughout their weeks, right? And which could uh, be for doing unproductive tasks or something that they're doing which is unproductive, right? So what according to you in your observance has, that you have seen that is the most productivity killer for engineers, and something that we actually don't see as a productivity killer but is actually is a productive killer?
I believe the biggest productivity killer, as everyone says, are meetings and everything.
Hmm.
Obviously, they are to a certain limit, but most of the important productivity killer for me, at least, is
Hmm.
context switching.
Hmm.
So when you try to like switch from one task to another,
Hmm.
that unloading and reloading
Hmm.
comes with a massive cost,
Hmm.
because you are in that zone, you are
Hmm.
in that thinking level
Right.
is of that particular task. But when you continuously keep switching between two or three items,
Hmm.
then that like offloading, downloading and everything
Hmm.
comes with like this cost.
Hmm.
So for me, what I feel is, you if like engineers are given the certain amount of task
Hmm.
and not asked to switch
Hmm.
continuously, then that will help to
Hmm.
improve their productivity. In fact, I'll give you an example. In
Hmm.
QuestionPro, we have this 10 to 2 is the focus time for all of
Hmm.
us, all of the developers, so that no one can disturb them.
Right.
No meetings, no discussions, nothing is allowed at that time. So that basically people can have the focus time
Hmm.
and they can give their best at that particular amount of time.
Understood. I think that's a very good technique that we follow here.
Yes.
So whenever you are working on a difficult feature, as you mentioned earlier, that there are some features they don't require a lot of time to be given, which are very small fixes of features here and there. But there are some features which are very complex and they require a lot of time and quality to be put in that, right? So when you are working on a very complex feature or a complex product that is to be released, and you are stuck at a particular time or at a particular technicality, what is your process of uh, getting unstuck and making sure that you are delivering what is required?
Okay, so starting, so my approach towards any problem is trying to understand the problem correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll rather spend like 2 3 days understanding the requirements,
Mm-hmm.
the like the customer needs, what the customer actually wants
Mm-hmm.
to be delivered. So I try to focus on that and try to understand as much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
Then I try to think on the customer level, like how they are going to use this feature, how they are going to implement this feature.
Mm-hmm.
Then based on that, I take certain decisions, like we create normally TRDs, NFRDs and
Mm-hmm.
everything. where each and every phase of designing the
Mm-hmm.
feature, or maybe like even the smallest functional non-functional requirements are there. So based on that, we have a discussion with the team. Like mostly it involves a developer who is working the lead and the PDM
Mm-hmm.
from the person whose requirement is coming. So we have a discussion through thorough discussion for
Mm-hmm.
that particular requirements, and based on that we approach the design and the technical part of it.
Right.
Even if like working while working, we maybe like we in the designing phase we did
Mm-hmm.
not have the 100% like things in place.
Mm-hmm.
So there are times that might be like the place where we are stuck. So
Right.
at that scenario, what I feel is connecting immediately and unblocking yourself is the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like there can be a scenario where the developer's mindset is different
Mm-hmm.
on that particular thing, and the business requirement can be different.
Mm-hmm.
So connecting and bridging the gap between the two is,
Mm-hmm.
I believe, is the strongest thing which needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
So setting up the expectations, scoping out the product, scoping out the feature is the biggest thing. And like just unblock yourself as
Mm-hmm.
soon as possible. And like with the AI and everything, it's very easy these
Mm-hmm.
days to develop anything. So
Have
yeah.
you, I mean, faced this kind of a situation? Can you give us an example and, mentioning the feature, and then how did you, work around that complexity?
Okay, so the feature which comes to my mind talking about this is the one related that was the major feature which I have developed in my junior level. So
Mm-hmm.
that was related to the deployment. We were changing the entire deployment strategy for CX.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, previously we can send surveys to just one particular survey. We have to
Mm.
select the survey and send it to that
Right.
particular survey. But there was a requirement when, based on certain criteria or conditions, you have to do the deployment with various different surveys.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, we had to introduce the complete new system, which is called workflow system in
Mm-hmm.
our case. So in that case, developing the criteria and introducing the entire new system was a
Mm-hmm.
bit difficult task for me. And my approach was like trying to understand the use case, as I
Mm-hmm.
have said earlier as well. That first of all, the approach has to be complete understanding the complete feature requirement.
Right.
So I connected with my leads,
Mm-hmm.
and I tried to gather as much as information I can. And I actually tried to figure out like the design and the implementation part. It
Mm-hmm.
has various steps. So basically, it's steps involved from like developing the criteria system, the
Mm-hmm.
workflow system, and then introducing the place where like different surveys can be selected
Mm-hmm.
or different surveys can be set up, and then the import can happen. So that involves like setting up the criteria, then evaluating those criteria, then sending the survey, and
Mm-hmm.
then the reminders and
Right.
afterwards. So that involved multiple steps, and my approach towards that was getting one step at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as I completed one system, I was a bit relieved. Like out of 100%, like 10% of the task is done,
Right.
20% of the task is done. So that's how I set a deadline or the time things for me
Mm-hmm.
to proceed in the complex task.
Right. So basically, this is one of productivity hacks, right? When
Yeah.
you have a huge task to do,
Yes.
like break it into chunks
Yes.
and then get one task done. And
At a
then that
time.
is how you end up doing the entire task, which for us feels very overwhelming that, oh my God, it's a very big task, right?
Yes, yes. And usually, what happens is when you see a problem in whole,
Mm-hmm.
that's basically a huge problem.
Right.
But even if you take a life example, also, if you
Right.
take a very complex things at once, you
Mm-hmm.
see, oh my God, this is a big thing.
Right.
But when you try to approach it slowly, try to break it down, obviously, it becomes easier for us.
Right. Understood. Yeah. That's a very great productivity hack. Okay, so when a junior engineer becomes a senior engineer, as in how we go on stepping on the leadership ladder, right? um, I think a lot of senior engineers do less of coding. uh, I mean, I think that, right? So my question is that actually the case? Do you do less of coding? If yes, then where does the rest of the time go?
Okay. So as we grow from a junior developer to the senior position, what changes is basically your thinking
Mm-hmm.
about the system. So you start thinking about the system more
Mm-hmm.
on the basis of client's perspective,
Hmm.
not as a developer,
Hmm.
because a developer's mindset is obviously different than
Right.
the actual use case. So you grow with the system,
Hmm.
you spend more time on the system, you work on the stability, performances, and
Mm-hmm.
all of these things. At the junior level, you do not have certain mindset
Right.
for thinking those things, but as you grow, you realize that what is actually building a good system
Hmm.
means.
Hmm.
So that's how you grow up in the ladder,
Mm-hmm.
because to all the developers which I have mentored, whom I have mentored, so basically tell them every time that you need to understand the system. If
Hmm.
you don't know the product, you are not going to be a
Right.
good developer,
Right.
because knowing the product, knowing the system is the biggest thing which we can do.
Hmm.
So that's the greatest thing. And to answer the second part of your question, where I see most of my time goes
Mm-hmm.
is obviously no. That's first thing that you asked, that I do a less of a
Hmm.
coding. So yes, that's not exactly true, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's true that most of the time goes in the management part
Hmm.
or the unblocking the juniors, because you are the team lead of that
Right.
particular
Right.
team. So you have to spend time with the
Mm-hmm.
juniors to understand, to make them understand the requirement. But it's not true that we don't code.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously the coding might have decreased to like from 100 to 70%,
Hmm.
but we do individually have our own tasks, and
Okay.
individually we have our own set of goals and timelines to work on that.
Hmm. So since you lead the customer experience product, right? So there itself is an experience in the product. So you are just not building dashboards or front end interfaces. You are also building an experience for the customers, right? So while building these interfaces or dashboards, how do you think, or rather, what do you think that is beyond the code?
Okay, so to answer this, I would say I put myself in customers' shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is the pain point for them? Like, how they're going to use it? Is the system designed reliable,
Mm-hmm.
faster?
Right.
They have a good performance. They are very intuitive. Like, if there is unexpected error, are
Mm-hmm.
they letting the customer know about it or not? So, thinking about the system in this perspective has obviously changed, and let me grow beyond the code, because while just developing and doing the development work, we are not thinking about multiple things
Hmm.
so at a time, where like which involves the customer usage or everything. So in that case, I believe like trying to understand the customer's
Hmm.
point is the most important thing. We often go on the customer calls for the feedbacks,
Hmm.
and we see how they are trying to use the application.
Okay.
We try to understand like what is the easiest way, is the UX good for them to understand the
Hmm.
thing or not. So that's how that works.
Okay. So does going on customer calls and understanding their perspective help you while creating the dashboards or the interfaces?
Yep, definitely. That really helps us, because consider if you are having a website
Hmm.
where there are too many options,
Hmm.
and you are just confused what to go, where to go, what to
Right.
use. So that happens with the customer. Obviously, we have to guide them throughout. So
Hmm.
I believe the UX and the uh, application has to be that strong that customer does not struggle with the
Hmm.
application. Instead,
Right.
they come up with the saying that it just works for them. So that's the biggest compliment I think we
Right.
can get in the
Mm-hmm.
development era. So like that's perfect if you're making someone's experience smooth,
Mm-hmm.
and like they do not have to struggle or do not have to face or do not have to complain about it,
Mm-hmm.
then that's the biggest thing.
Right. So, Archa, throughout your career, what is the one thing that you have learned the hardest way that has changed how you build a software?
Okay, so as I move to the senior role, one of the
Mm-hmm.
hardest thing which I learned is like it's okay not to know everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's completely okay if you don't know certain buzzwords, or
Mm-hmm.
because obviously you cannot keep pace with the evolving technologies
Right.
each day, and it's very difficult to keep yourself updated with everything
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
throughout the time. So at first, when I moved to a leadership role, I had this habit of like if anyone is speaking a buzzword, I
Mm-hmm.
used to feel like, oh my god, I don't know this.
Mm-hmm.
But I then realized that I cannot answer each and every question.
Right.
It's okay to say that I'll do my research and come back to
Mm-hmm.
you with an answer.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the hardest learning, which has left me like little distracted, as
Mm-hmm.
well as like I have learned a lot from it. So to give you an example, I'll say we were working on the performance optimization for one of the satellite apps of customer experience. So while like improving the performance, there were certain buzzwords which the developers used to come to me, like they
Mm-hmm.
used to say we can use this, we can use that, and there were things which obviously I was not aware of.
Right.
But instead of just trying to feel anxiety about it, I told them that I need some time, I need to do
Mm-hmm.
my research and focus on the already things
Mm-hmm.
which I know.
Mm.
And like if I have to improve the front end performance, so
Mm.
I need to understand how TypeScript is working properly, how
Right.
we can optimize it, what is the current implementation of it, and that's how you grow. And
Right.
obviously with the AI currently, it is very helpful to learn each and everything now,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how that works for me.
Right. So as you said that technology is ever evolving, right? And it's difficult to keep up with the pace of whatever new is coming. I think there's something new coming every other day, right? So how do you decide on where to spend your time when it comes to learning and upgrading yourself?
Okay, so I believe learning separately or this should not happen actually, because you should be continuously learning while you
Mm-hmm.
are developing something, you're working on something. It should be a continuous process, not a one time process.
Mm-hmm.
So as you are approaching to a solution for any
Mm-hmm.
problem, you can explore multiple options.
Right.
Obviously, you can like have different approaches and different solutions for all of the problems we have.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to understand what is the best and getting the pros and cons for each of the
Mm-hmm.
solutions is one of the biggest approach towards any task. So I think prioritizing things over like just randomly going out for anything, like
Mm.
there are certain buzzwords which you are going to hear from each and everyone, but
Right.
instead of just using the buzzwords, you need to understand the actual what things are doing.
Mm.
So as soon as you are done with the your research part, you'll be confident enough to understand what where should you proceed.
Right.
Should you go with the new technologies or frameworks which are available, or
Mm.
you can do better work at the already available things.
Right. So, when you look at engineers who are constantly standing out, right, and doing great work, so what is the one common trait or attribute that you see in these engineers?
I believe it's the ownership.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the tasks or most of the things which make you stand out is the ownership.
Mm-hmm.
I believe if you are given a certain task or the challenge, then you owning it completely makes a lot of difference. You spend time in your analysis, your building the system, designing
Mm-hmm.
the system, and you go beyond your assigned work
Hmm.
to like have a complete uh, thorough understanding of it,
Right.
so that you don't have to keep on like leads should not have to interfere in each and
Right.
everything,
Right.
constant update should not be asked. So it should come from the person who is working on that task. If the person is owning the task,
Hmm.
then obviously they are on the right path.
Right.
And what I learned in the earlier careers is you are the person you are reporting to,
Hmm.
the problem for that person has to be solved
Right.
by you. So if you are not burdening him with your work,
Hmm.
that's the biggest thing you can do for the person who is working with you.
Right.
So you need to have a thorough plan for the items you're working on, do your research, plan your day, then plan the items which you are going to prioritize,
Hmm.
have your own set of requirements and list ready, and then obviously you can obviously have a discussion with the team, and like it shows the how powerful or how good you are at what you are working.
Right. Right. So, Archa, since you lead the customer experience product, right, there's a lot of front end engineering that you do. And front end engineering, as I understand, has changed dramatically over the years. So, how do you, decide like which trends genuinely excite you and which do you feel are just a hype and then we can ignore them?
So ultimately, it boils down to the stability of the technology or the framework. So there are the, like you said, in the certain amount of time, there are a lot
Mm-hmm.
of buzzwords and all of the like frameworks, and too
Mm-hmm.
much of the things are available. But what I think is knowing the framework, knowing the technologies is the biggest important thing
Mm-hmm.
which in today's era. So having a command over a certain framework and trying to build yourself around that particular framework,
Mm-hmm.
like knowing in and out of it. Like if you are working on React framework,
Mm-hmm.
so you need to have understanding of how that works, their performance, their stability,
Right.
and what all things can be improved in the existing thing.
Mm-hmm.
If there are no other options available in the certain technology or the framework,
Mm-hmm.
then it's good to explore the other items. But
Mm-hmm.
what you have in hand right now, and optimizing and trying to improve, that is the
Mm-hmm.
thing which I feel is the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because involving all the new frameworks will complicate things, and
Mm-hmm.
you will at certain point of time you will feel agitated,
Mm-hmm.
like why we have used this, why we have used this.
Mm-hmm.
So what matters is stability, performance,
Mm-hmm.
and how well you are aware of the frameworks or the technologies. So we have like we know that TypeScript is growing day by day, so you
Mm-hmm.
can have a good command over the TypeScript. You can
Mm-hmm.
use AI driven tools and जो भी development kits which are
Mm-hmm.
available right now. Then you can spend time on performance, stability
Mm.
issues, like improving the UX and everything.
Right.
That's how it should be done. So that's how you decide like how you want to proceed with the new technologies or not. But understanding the current available items is the most important thing for me.
Okay. Has it ever happened with you that you or someone in your team decided to follow a trend or something that excited them, and when implemented that didn't quite work out the way it was planned?
Okay, so to answer this, we straight away don't go with the coding part.
Okay.
We what we follow is creating a technical document for it,
Hmm.
having the pros and cons. We and if certain person is like too adamant about it
Mm-hmm.
that no, we should implement this, then we need to have a list of items, pros
Hmm.
and cons, like
Right.
what can be done in this and what existing does not offer.
Hmm.
And obviously, if there is a difference between them and the newer version is the better version, then obviously we are going to opt for it.
Right.
But if it is like the things which we are trying to introduce new is
Hmm.
already available in the already in the existing items or
Hmm.
the frameworks, then I believe introducing new thing is not a good idea.
Right.
So we plan it through that. We have a discussions around it. We'll go for a thorough technical discussions
Mm-hmm.
on it before implementing the code.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. So, coming to the ending of the podcast, Archa. So, to everyone listening this podcast today, if you had to, advise them one change in habit, or if you had to advise them on starting to cultivate one particular habit, uh, which would help them grow in their careers, what would that be, one advice that you would give them?
Actually, there are two.
Okay.
So, one would be managing your focus time.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I won't say you need to manage the time, but you need
Mm-hmm.
to manage your energy levels, because throughout the day you cannot have same level of energy.
Right.
That maybe sometimes at the peak times and sometimes at the lowest times.
Right.
So you need to balance it out.
Mm-hmm.
You need to figure it out. What is the point with the highest
Mm-hmm.
focus time, and what is the point with the lowest one?
Right.
And you have to plan your day through like that. The second thing I would say is knowing the system.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that has helped me a lot in my career. From starting till now, it
Mm-hmm.
has helped me continuously. Knowing the system, knowing the customer, knowing the things you are good at. You
Mm-hmm.
need to understand what you are good at, and then developing yourself and improving yourself helps a lot. So, yeah.
Great, great. Thank you so much, Archa, for giving us time from your busy, busy schedule for this podcast today and having this conversation with us. So, viewers, if and engineers, developers, I hope that this episode was something a value add for you, And if you have any more such topics on which you want us to discuss, please drop them in the comment section. We will definitely take it up in our upcoming episodes. And please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Bye bye.